The stars stretched endlessly around the great station of the Galactic Council. Ships of many colors and shapes moved in and out of the orbiting hub. It was a place where decisions that shaped the galaxy were made. Aliens of every kind walked the wide halls. Each species had its voice, its vote, and its pride. Earth had a small seat here, and humans were learning the ways of the galaxy slowly but surely. On one side of the station, a small group of humans gathered. They were not part of the council. They were citizens, ordinary people, and they carried banners and signs. Their faces were full of hope but also fear. They demanded justice. They wanted the council to see them as equals. Among the humans was a small boy, Lucas. He was 8 years old. His brown hair fell over his forehead and his eyes were wide with curiosity. He did not fully understand the anger around him. He only knew that his mother, Amanda, held his hand tightly and whispered that they must be brave. The protest started quietly. Humans spoke, asking for rights, asking for fairness. Their voices were polite but firm. Aliens walking by stopped to listen. Some sneered. Some ignored them. The council had always treated humanity as young, inexperienced, and unworthy of real power. But the humans kept talking, hoping someone would listen. Suddenly, alarms rang. A group of alien guards had arrived. They were tall, with scales that shined in the light. Their eyes were narrow and cautious. They did not trust the humans. One of the guards raised his weapon. It was a strange device, glowing blue. He shouted something in his alien language. No one understood, but the humans froze. A panic began. Some humans turned to run. Others tried to hold their ground. Lucas clutched his mother's hand, unsure of what was happening. His small legs moved quickly, trying to keep up. Amanda pulled him behind a pillar, hoping the guards would not see them. Then it happened. The guard fired. The blue light shot forward, fast and deadly. There was a cry, a sudden silence, and then chaos. Lucas was hit. He fell to the floor. His small body did not move. Amanda screamed, holding him close. Other humans cried and ran. The alien guards panicked as well. The council members watching from above called for calm, but it was too late. Lucas was dead. The shock spread quickly. The council tried to explain. It was an accident, they said. The guard had been scared. The humans had rushed forward. But Amanda knew the truth. Her son was gone. Nothing could bring him back. Her cries were heard across the station, through the speakers and video feeds. Her grief was real and raw, cutting through the formal walls of the council. On Earth, the news arrived fast. Screens lit up in homes and cities. People stopped their work and watched. Families held their children tighter. Anger and sorrow spread. Lucas's death was more than a tragedy. It was a symbol. A symbol that the galaxy did not value human life, that the Galactic Council could act without fear of consequence. Leaders on Earth met in secret. President Hannah Lane sat at the head of the table. Around her were generals, advisors, and scientists. Their faces were grim. They spoke quietly, but the words were sharp. "We cannot let this stand," Hannah said. "The Galactic Council has killed one of our own. They must answer." General Paul Carter, a tall man with a square jaw, nodded. "Our fleets are ready. But the Council has power. We cannot strike lightly." Dr. Elise Morgan, a scientist, added, "There is another way. There is a force we have kept hidden. The Shadow Navy. They are trained, equipped, and unseen. We can call them forth if we need to." Hannah looked at the faces around her. Each person knew what it meant. The Shadow Navy had been secret for decades. Earth had kept it in hiding, away from spies, away from the prying eyes of the Council. It was a force to protect humanity if all else failed. Amanda's grief reached every corner of Earth. People cried for Lucas. Streets filled with flowers and candles. Humans of all ages marched in silent protest. The message was clear. Humanity would not be ignored. The Council had made a mistake that could not be forgiven. Meanwhile, on the station, the Council debated. Some wanted to apologize. Others wanted to dismiss the humans as immature. No one understood that this act had consequences. The death of a single child had awakened something the galaxy had never seen before. Earth would respond, but not like any planet before. Amanda returned to her home, holding her son's empty chair at the table. Her husband, Jason, sat silently beside her. He could not speak, could not comfort. They had lost their child, and the world around them felt cold and distant. But in her heart, Amanda knew she had to act. She could not let Lucas's death be meaningless. Messages were sent to Earth's leaders. News agencies asked for interviews. Amanda spoke, her voice trembling but strong. My son was killed. He was innocent. We cannot allow this to happen to any human ever again. Across Earth, people listened. Anger turned into determination. Leaders made their decisions. In hidden rooms and secret bases, preparations began. Admiral Jack, an old veteran of Earth's secret forces, received the coded message. It was time. He stood in front of the darkened screens, the blue light reflecting off his face. Ships waited silently in hidden bays. Pilots and crew had been called, and their loyalty was absolute. Names like Ethan, Maria, and Daniel filled the roll call. They were ready. Jack spoke into the communicator. The Shadow Navy will awaken. The galaxy will see that humanity does not forgive. As the stars shimmered outside the station windows, Earth prepared. The Council had made a terrible mistake. They had killed a child, and humanity was about to show that no act of injustice would go unanswered. Lucas's death would mark the beginning of a new chapter, one that no alien power could ignore. And so the first part of the story ends with grief, anger, and the quiet preparation of a hidden force. Earth was not yet at war, but the Shadow Navy waited, ready to step into the galaxy's light, bringing justice for a human child who would not be forgotten. Earth was in mourning. The death of Lucas had touched every city, town, and village. People gathered in parks, squares, and homes. They lit candles, placed flowers, and held their children tightly. Even strangers comforted one another. The grief was deep, but so was the anger. Humanity had been insulted and hurt, and they could not let it pass. Amanda sat quietly in her living room. She held a small toy in her hand, the same one Lucas had carried everywhere. Jason, her husband, sat beside her, staring at the wall. They could not eat, could not sleep. They were lost in sadness, but Amanda knew something had to be done. Her son's death must mean change. It could not end with grief alone. Across the oceans in government buildings, leaders met in secret. President Hannah Lane sat at the head of a long table. Her hands were folded. Her face was serious. Around her were generals, advisors, and scientists. Their eyes showed worry. They had never faced anything like this. They knew the Galactic Council was powerful. They had weapons, fleets, and armies. But the Council had made a mistake. A human child was dead. That was something they could not ignore. General Paul Carter leaned forward. Madam President, the Council is strong. They have fleets and weapons. We cannot just strike. We must be smart. Dr. Elise Morgan spoke next. We do not need to attack first. Earth has the Shadow Navy. It is a secret force. Trained pilots, special ships, and weapons the Council has never seen. We can use them to protect humanity and demand justice. Hannah nodded. We must send a message. The Council must understand that human life matters, that Lucas mattered. Plans were made quietly. The Shadow Navy had been hidden for decades. Few knew its location. It was kept secret from spies, from the Council, and even from most humans. Only a small group of leaders and the old Admiral Jack knew the full truth. Now it was time to awaken it. In a secret underground base, Jack walked through dimly lit corridors. The walls were made of steel and concrete. Screens glowed with maps of the galaxy. Ships rested in hidden bays, silent but ready. Pilots trained in secret waited in their quarters. Among them were Ethan, a calm and skilled pilot, Maria, sharp and quick with her mind, and Daniel, brave and loyal. They had been called back from retirement. The message was clear. Humanity needed them. Jack stood before the group. His face was serious but calm. We have been waiting for this moment. The Galactic Council has taken a life that did not belong to them. One of our children is dead. We will not allow this to happen again. The Shadow Navy will awaken, but we will act carefully. We strike not to destroy, but to protect. We show the galaxy that human life is sacred. The pilots nodded. Their loyalty was absolute. They understood the risks. They understood the power they held. They also understood the importance of justice. Lucas's death was a tragedy, but it was also a call to action. Meanwhile, across Earth, people continued to mourn. Schools held moments of silence. News broadcasts spoke of Lucas's life, his dreams, and his innocence. Children drew pictures of stars and spaceships, showing that humanity would not be defeated by fear. The city streets were filled with flowers and notes. People wrote letters to the Council asking for apology and change. Their voices were small, but together they were strong. Amanda spoke publicly again. Her voice was trembling but full of determination. Lucas's life was precious. He was not a number, not a statistic. He was a human child. And because he was taken from us, we will not be silent. We will demand respect. We will demand justice. No child should ever die because of fear or power. The words spread across the globe. People listened and felt hope even through the sadness. They understood that Earth's leaders were planning action. They understood that the Shadow Navy might appear. They did not know when, but they trusted that justice would come. In the council, the debate continued. Some members called for an apology. Others said humans were weak and should not challenge them. The guards who had fired at Lucas were punished lightly, but the decision angered many humans. Earth would not forgive. The council had underestimated the power of humanity's unity, grief, and determination. Back in the secret bases, Jack reviewed maps of the station where Lucas had been killed. He studied patrol routes, weapons placements, and communication systems. Every detail mattered. The Shadow Navy had advanced technology, faster than the Council's, and they could move unseen. Stealth and precision would be their advantage. They would show strength, not recklessness. Ethan, Maria, and Daniel checked their ships. Each vessel was sleek, silent, and deadly. They ran diagnostics, confirmed weapon systems, and simulated attacks. Their training had prepared them for this moment. They were ready to protect humanity and send a message that would be remembered across the stars. Hannah Lane addressed the public once more. We are a nation that values life. We are a nation that will defend its children. The Council must understand that Earth stands united. We seek peace, but we will not ignore injustice. Lucas's death will not be in vain. As night fell across Earth, lights shone in the sky from cities and towns. Candles burned in windows. People whispered prayers and hopes. They did not yet know the Shadow Navy was preparing to move. They only knew that Earth would no longer accept harm done to its children. In the hidden bases, Jack issued final orders. Prepare the ships. Prepare the crews. We strike when the time is right. Our first goal is to show the Council that humanity is awake and ready. Our aim is justice, not revenge. But we will be seen. We will be respected. The crews boarded their ships, engines humming quietly. Ethan felt the familiar rush of control and responsibility. Maria tightened her helmet strap, ready to lead her team. Daniel reviewed coordinates and mission plans. Every person understood the mission. Every person remembered Lucas. As Earth's leaders monitored the galaxy, Amanda sat by her window. She looked at the stars, imagining her son among them. She whispered his name, feeling both sadness and hope. Humanity would not be broken. Humanity would rise. The first steps of the Shadow Navy were about to begin. The galaxy had not yet seen the full power of Earth's hidden forces. But the Council would learn that human life mattered, and that Earth would act to protect its own. Lucas's death would change everything, and Earth would answer the call. The hidden bases of Earth were alive with movement. Deep beneath the oceans, within mountains and inside asteroid belts, the Shadow Navy stirred after years of silence. Ships once unseen now hummed with energy. Systems were checked and double-checked. Every crew member knew the moment had come to defend humanity and demand justice. Admiral Jack walked the corridors of the main base. His steps echoed softly against the metal floors. He looked at the glowing displays showing the positions of ships across the galaxy. Each screen told a story of power and precision. The Council believed humanity was weak. They were about to learn otherwise. Ethan, Jack said, standing beside the young pilot, you understand the mission. Stealth first, precision always. Do not provoke unless necessary. Ethan nodded. He had flown missions that others thought impossible. He had trained in shadows and silence, and now he would lead the first wave. Beside him, Maria adjusted her visor. We are ready. We have waited for this moment a long time. Daniel checked the communications. All systems green. Ships ready. Weapons ready. We go at your signal. Jack looked at the crews gathered. There were men and women from across Earth, veterans and young pilots alike. All had trained in secret, waiting for a moment like this. Their faces were determined. There was no fear, only purpose. Meanwhile, on the surface, Earth's people watched the skies. No one knew what was hidden below, but the sense of hope had spread. Humanity had decided to act. Lucas's death had united everyone. From children to the elderly, humans stood together in thought and spirit. They felt the Shadow Navy awakening, even if they could not see it. In space, the Shadow Navy ships left their hidden bays. They moved silently, almost invisible against the stars. Each ship was sleek, dark, and fast. Sensors picked up alien patrols and Council surveillance, but the Shadow Navy slipped past them as if they were ghosts. Admiral Jack communicated with Hannah Lane and the leaders on Earth. "We are in position. No civilian lives will be harmed. Our aim is to show strength and demand respect. We strike only if necessary." Hannah nodded from the command room. "We trust you, Jack. Show them humanity's power, but remember our purpose is justice, not destruction." The Council, unaware of the hidden forces, carried on their usual routines. Meetings were held, discussions were made, and security was increased around the station. But they underestimated Earth's resolve and preparation. The death of a child had lit a fire that no words could extinguish. Lucas's mother, Amanda, followed the news closely. She sat in quiet rooms, her eyes fixed on the displays of Council activities. She prayed silently, hoping the Shadow Navy could make them understand that human life mattered. Her grief was still strong, but hope now mixed with it. Humanity was about to take its first steps in defending what was right. Ethan led his squadron near the orbit of the Council station. He felt the hum of the ship beneath him, the readiness of weapons and the skill of his team. Maria and Daniel flanked him, moving in perfect coordination. Each ship was aware of the other, each movement silent and precise. They were trained to be shadows, seen only when they chose to be. Inside the station, Council members sensed something was amiss. Alarms rang quietly in the control rooms. Sensors detected anomalies, but the readings were confusing. No one could locate the ships. The Shadow Navy moved too fast, too cleverly. Fear began to creep into their thoughts. Jack communicated again. "We are close. Remember, our first action is to disable, not destroy. We show strength and restraint." Ethan maneuvered his squadron near the station's defenses. Blue energy shields and lasers patrolled the perimeter. He calculated the paths carefully. One wrong move and the mission could fail. But he had trained for this. Every simulation, every exercise, every secret operation had prepared him for this moment. Maria controlled the communications. She sent signals to confuse the Council's sensors. Their defenses faltered without realizing it. Daniel worked on targeting the power sources, disabling them slowly and quietly. They moved like shadows, precise and unstoppable. Jack watched from the command center on Earth. He knew the importance of this moment. The Shadow Navy's success would send a clear message. The Council must understand that humans were no longer weak, that even in grief they could act with intelligence and power. Back on Earth, people waited anxiously. News feeds were filled with speculation and tension. Families sat together hoping for a sign. Amanda held a small picture of Lucas, whispering to him. She believed that somehow he was guiding them, giving them strength. Ethan's squadron reached the station. They disabled the outer defenses without firing a shot at the Council. The station's alarms went wild, but the Shadow Navy moved with precision. Jack's orders were clear. Show restraint, demand respect. Humanity was proving that it could act without needless violence. Inside the station, the Council members panicked. Guards were ordered to fire, but the Shadow Navy was already beyond their reach. The humans were everywhere and nowhere, a force the Council could not predict or understand. Their power and technology were beyond anything the Council had seen. Ethan's squadron signaled completion of the first stage. Jack's voice came through the secure channel. "Well done. You have shown strength and control. Return to positions. Maintain visibility but avoid confrontation unless necessary. Humanity's message has been sent." Maria smiled behind her visor. "They will understand soon." "They cannot ignore this," Daniel nodded. "Lucas would be proud. We did this for him and for every human child." On Earth, the news finally broke. Screens showed faint traces of ships moving near the station. The Council released statements of confusion and concern. Humanity had acted. They had been seen. The message was clear. Earth was awake and it would protect its own. Amanda wept with relief. She felt that Lucas's spirit was with them. Her grief had not been wasted. Humanity had taken its first step in defending its children and its honor. The Shadow Navy, once hidden in darkness, had proven that it could move, strike, and demand respect. Admiral Jack debriefed the crews. This was only the beginning. The galaxy now knows that Earth is not weak. We will continue to act with care, but we will act when necessary. Humanity has power, and we will show it responsibly. Ethan, Maria, and Daniel returned to their bases. They had succeeded, but they knew the Council would respond. They would be ready. The Shadow Navy would wait in the shadows, ready to defend, ready to protect, ready to act for humanity. The first steps had been taken. The galaxy had felt the power of Earth's hidden forces. Lucas's death had sparked something greater than grief. It had awakened a force that no alien could ignore. Humanity would rise not with anger but with strength, intelligence, and the will to protect its own. And so, Part 3 ends with the Shadow Navy fully awakened, moving silently, demonstrating power and restraint. The message was sent. Earth had acted. The Council had been warned. Humanity would no longer be underestimated, and Lucas's death would mark the beginning of a new chapter in the galaxy. The Galactic Council had grown confident in its power. They had armies, fleets, and alliances. They believed Earth would remain weak and careful, as it always had. But the Shadow Navy had changed everything. Humanity was no longer hiding. They had awakened, prepared, and determined. The first strike was about to begin. Admiral Jack stood in the command center watching screens that showed the Council station. The fleets and patrols moved around it, unaware of what approached. Jack turned to his team, his voice calm but firm. "Remember, precision first, control. We disable only what is necessary. Show them that humanity is strong but also intelligent. We strike to protect, not to destroy." Ethan checked his instruments aboard his ship. The hum of the engine and the readiness of the weapons filled him with determination. Beside him, Maria and Daniel were also prepared. Their crews moved with quiet efficiency. They had trained for years for this moment. Every calculation, every simulation, every hidden mission had led to this first strike. The Shadow Navy moved silently toward the station. Sensors picked up patrols, but they were avoided or neutralized with precision. Humans moved like shadows, invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. The Council did not yet know the full extent of Earth's power. Inside the station, alarms finally rang. Council guards rushed to their positions, weapons raised. They saw flickers on their monitors but could not identify them. Confusion spread quickly. Panic began to replace confidence. The Shadow Navy was faster, smarter, and hidden in plain sight. They had underestimated human preparation. Ethan's squadron reached the perimeter. They deployed small drones to disable defense systems quietly. Energy shields flickered and fell. Turrets froze, unable to move. The station's crew did not know what was happening. The humans were everywhere and nowhere at once. Every move was calculated, every action measured. The first strike was not reckless. It was precise. Maria guided the drones to the station's main communications array. They disabled transmissions without causing damage to civilian systems. This was a warning, a message. Earth was awake. Humanity would not tolerate injustice. Lucas's death had sparked this action, and the message was clear. The Council had gone too far. Daniel coordinated targeting of power nodes. He ensured minimal damage but maximum disruption. The station's defenses were crippled, leaving the Council vulnerable. Ethan and Maria maintained their positions, ensuring that all moves were silent, calculated, and effective. The Shadow Navy moved like a single organism, precise and controlled. Back on Earth, Admiral Jack communicated with President Hannah Lane. "The first strike is complete. No civilian lives were harmed. The Council will understand our strength. We will remain in position until further orders." Hannah nodded from the command center. Her face was serious, but there was a glimmer of satisfaction. Humanity had taken action. They had defended their honor. The Shadow Navy had shown restraint and intelligence, proving that human power was not reckless but formidable. The Council scrambled to respond. Some members wanted to launch counterattacks. Others argued for calm. Fear had entered their halls. The humans had struck without warning but with precision. The Council had underestimated Earth's resolve, and now they faced the consequences. Amanda watched the news feeds from her home. Her heart was heavy but proud. Lucas's death had not been in vain. The Shadow Navy had moved, showing the galaxy that humanity was ready to defend its own. She whispered his name and felt a sense of hope mixed with sorrow. Her son had sparked this action, and humanity would not forget. On the station, guards tried to repair defenses, but the Shadow Navy had already anticipated their moves. Drones and ships moved like shadows, disabling systems and creating confusion. The Council realized too late that they had been caught off guard. Their technology was advanced, but Earth had secrets they could not understand. Ethan piloted his ship around the station, carefully observing patrols. Maria and Daniel followed, coordinating their movements. They made no unnecessary attacks. Their goal was to demonstrate strength and send a warning, not to destroy. Every action was deliberate, every movement controlled. The first strike was a demonstration of power and restraint. Jack monitored every step from Earth. His experience guided him. He knew that restraint now would build respect later. Humanity would be feared but also understood. The message was clear. Human life mattered. The Shadow Navy had acted in defense of innocence, in memory of a child, in protection of humanity. Back on Earth, citizens watched with awe and pride. News channels showed glimpses of the action. People spoke in whispers and conversations, understanding that their planet had taken its first true step into galactic power. The Shadow Navy was real, and it was protecting humanity. Inside the station, the council began to discuss options. Panic had replaced confidence. Some called for retaliation, others for negotiation. Fear of human power now tempered their pride. They had not expected Earth to act so decisively, so intelligently, and so swiftly. The first strike had changed everything. Ethan, Maria, and Daniel returned to their positions in orbit, monitoring the station and surrounding fleets. Their ships were ready for any response, but none came yet. The council was processing the message. Earth was awake, powerful, and united. Lucas's death had awakened a force the galaxy had never seen before. Admiral Jack addressed the crews. "We have completed our first strike. Remember, this is only the beginning. The council will act, and we must be ready. But humanity has proven that we are no longer weak. Our first action was precise, controlled, and effective. We send a clear message. Human life is sacred, and we will protect it." Ethan, Maria, and Daniel felt the weight of the mission. They had acted in memory of a child, in defense of their planet, and in the hope that humanity would be respected. They had moved with precision, restraint, and intelligence. The first strike had succeeded. Amanda held a small candle by her window. She felt a sense of closure and hope. The Shadow Navy had moved. Humanity had acted. Lucas's death would not be forgotten. The galaxy had been shown that Earth was ready to protect its own, and no one could underestimate human power again. And so, Part 4 concludes with the first strike completed. The Shadow Navy had moved decisively and carefully, demonstrating strength and restraint. The council was shaken. Humanity had taken its first step toward defending itself and demanding respect. The galaxy now understood that Earth was no longer to be underestimated, and the Shadow Navy waited silently for the next move. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Their leaders gathered in the central hall of the station, voices raised in argument. Some called for retaliation against Earth, believing that the Shadow Navy would be vulnerable. Others warned that humanity's actions had shown planning, precision, and hidden power that the Council could not ignore. Fear had entered the Council, and confidence was shaken. Admiral Jack stood in the command center on Earth, watching the galaxy through multiple screens. His team monitored every movement of the Council fleets. Every sensor reading confirmed what they had expected. The Council was divided and confused. The first strike had sent a clear message. Now it was time to maintain pressure while waiting for the Council to act wisely. Ethan, Maria, and Daniel hovered their ships in orbit near the Council station. Their sensors picked up small patrols and minor defensive maneuvers, but nothing large enough to threaten them. The Shadow Navy had anticipated the Council's moves. Every countermeasure had a prepared response. They were ready for escalation, but they hoped restraint would win respect rather than war. On Earth, President Hannah Lane addressed the world. Her voice was calm and strong. Earth has acted to defend its people. The Shadow Navy has shown the galaxy that human life matters. We seek peace, but we will not tolerate injustice. The death of Lucas was a tragedy, and we will act to ensure it is never repeated. Humanity is awake and united. Amanda held her son's picture close. She had become a symbol of grief and courage. Her voice, once trembling with sorrow, now carried strength when speaking publicly. Lucas's life mattered. Every human life matters. We will protect our children. The Shadow Navy has moved not in anger, but in defense. We hope the Council listens. Humanity is strong, but we wish for peace. The Council debated and argued, but fear had tempered pride. They realized that the humans were more prepared than they had imagined. Earth had a hidden force, a power that could strike quickly and accurately. For the first time, the Council considered negotiation instead of confrontation. Admiral Jack communicated with Hannah. The Council is reconsidering. Their fleets are hesitant. They do not know our full strength, but they now respect our capability. We continue to hold position and await further orders. Ethan, Maria, and Daniel continued to monitor. The first strike had been a demonstration of power and precision, not destruction. Their ships moved silently, ready to respond. The galaxy had witnessed Earth's strength and the Council's arrogance had been tempered. The Shadow Navy had become a symbol of caution and respect. Across Earth, people watched the news with a mix of pride and anxiety. Humanity had acted for the first time on a galactic scale. The Shadow Navy had defended a child's life and shown the galaxy that Earth was no longer to be underestimated. Streets filled with people celebrating quietly, showing support for those who acted and for Lucas, whose memory had inspired action. Inside the Council station, leaders debated the next steps. Some argued for a formal apology to Earth. Others demanded stricter control of their forces. Fear of humanity's precision and hidden power was now a part of every conversation. The Council understood that underestimating humans could lead to more strikes. Their arrogance had been challenged and a new respect mixed with caution took its place. Admiral Jack addressed the crews one final time. We have completed our mission for now. The first strike has shown the galaxy our capability and restraint. Humanity will be respected and human life defended. We will continue to observe and act when necessary. Lucas's death has awakened a force that the galaxy will not forget. Ethan, Maria, and Daniel returned to hidden bases. They had completed their part. Their mission was successful, but vigilance remained. The galaxy now knew that Earth had strength, precision, and determination. The Shadow Navy would wait, always ready to defend humanity and protect the innocent. Amanda and Jason visited the hidden base, meeting Admiral Jack in person. They did not see the full ships or fleets, but the presence of Earth's hidden protectors gave them a sense of security. Amanda spoke softly, but her words carried gratitude. Thank you for showing that humanity is not weak. Thank you for honoring Lucas, Jack nodded. We act for all humans, especially the innocent. Lucas's death will not be in vain. We show that Earth will defend its own, with intelligence and restraint. Across the galaxy, species who had once doubted humanity now whispered among themselves. Earth had shown strength and honor. The Shadow Navy was real. The Council had learned that arrogance could be met with precise and hidden power. Fear of human resolve had entered the galaxy's consciousness. As the first wave of tension settled, Earth returned to a cautious watch. The Shadow Navy faded into the shadows again, unseen but ready. Humanity had spoken with action, not words. The galaxy had heard the message. Human life mattered and Earth would protect it. Lucas's memory was honored, and a new era of caution and respect began. President Hannah Lane spoke to the people once more. Earth has acted with honor and strength. We seek peace, but we are prepared to defend ourselves. The Shadow Navy has proven that humanity is united, intelligent, and powerful. Let this be a reminder to all. Human life will not be ignored, and Earth stands ready. Amanda placed a flower in a memorial for Lucas. She looked at the stars and felt hope. Her son had changed the galaxy in ways no one could have imagined. Humanity had risen, not with anger but with strength, intelligence, and determination. The Shadow Navy had answered the call. Lucas's death had sparked a reckoning, one that would never be forgotten. And so the story concludes. The Galactic Council had been shaken. Humanity had risen and the Shadow Navy had demonstrated the power of intelligence, restraint, and courage. Earth stood proud and united, ready to defend its own. Lucas's life, though short, had inspired action that changed the galaxy. Humanity had awakened and the Shadow Navy waited silently, always ready for the next call.